Hello, everybody, and welcome to the second episode of the Course of the Discourse podcast. I'm your host, Omar Fares, and today I'm delighted to have a special guest with me, the ambassador of the State of Palestine to Côte d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast, as well as non-resident to Chad, Niger, Burkina Faso, and the Republic of Congo, Abdal Karim Ewaida. Mr. Ambassador, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Omar. Thank you very much for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you here. Could you tell us about yourself and your personal background for the listeners who don't know about you?
What do you want to know exactly? I have plenty of things to say. Well, I will start. Okay. My name is Abdal Karim Ewaida. I was born in Gaza. My parents are originally from Bir Saba in south of Palestine. We moved to Gaza in 48 as a Nakba. And then I was born in Gaza in 67, but we didn't live there. So we had go out with many of people in 1967, according to the war. We were moved to Libya when my father was working there at that time, and then to Egypt, where I finished my study until the secondary school. And then I went to Algeria to complete my studies. I have a baccalaureate degree in law, and then I have a master in diplomacy. I returned to Gaza in 1994 as an officer, military officer. I served in the GSC, Joint Security Committee, at that time, which is responsible for all liaison office or district coordination offices, which responsible to execute the Oslo Accord on the ground. We have joint patrols between Israelis and Palestinians who working all over 24 hours a day to resolve any problem, can be here and there, and we try to find out how to solve these problems. I assist to all redeployment in the West Bank. I saw Gaza at the beginning. I saw West Bank at the beginning. I saw the way of life, the people, the infrastructure, and that's it. I don't know what you want to know more than that.
That's a nice introduction. So a following question would be here, what made you pursue the path of diplomacy? Because now you're an ambassador. Was there some particular moment or experience that inspired you to become an ambassador for Palestine? You said you have some military background or...
Yes. Well, actually, there is a moment was like a turning point for me. It was in 2002 when we have the invasion of the West Bank, especially in Ramallah. I was military at that time. We was besieged in center of Ramallah. I have been captured by the Israeli military forces. I have been detained for 3 weeks' time in Ofer, the famous Ofer detention center. It was like the starting of this detention center. So during these 3 weeks, I start to think about our military capability and how we can, if it's correct, to confront such a big power, in military means. So I start to think that we had been trapped by the Israeli government to drag us to this confrontation so they can go on and destroy everything that we have been trying to build since 1994. So this is the point that, or the moment that I start to think about the issue, and it takes me some time to change career, but I'm happy that I changed my career since 2003 and became a diplomat I did a lot of training programs to have much more experience in the field.
Mm. So the power asymmetry made you come to the conclusion that the Palestinian side is much much weaker than the Israeli side,
100%.
and this, I mean, personally, from my point of view, I can agree with this stance that when one is much weaker than the other, sometimes there may be some other methods that may be more efficient or lesser harmful for one's own side. Many people often discuss that diplomacy and nonviolent methods may be more efficient in reaching the stated goals of
Exactly.
liberation, but it doesn't always sound as convenient for many people who rather see violence as the only method. It may be in some cases, but in the case of Palestine, I think it has been more of the opposite. It has been more used by the Israeli right wingers and their supporters to justify the occupation and get their support for it, even if it isn't justified, of course.
You know, a lot of people say that Israel don't need justification, but I disagree with them. Israel needs justification because Israel pretend to be a democratic state. They have the rule of laws, and they present themselves as a Western values country and so on. So they need all the time a pretext or some reasons to do whatever they want to do. So for me, as a military person who served like around 13 years as a military, I know better about uh,
Mm,
how to deal with the other side.
mm,
I saw the preparation before the invasion of Israel to the West Bank. Uh, I was like convinced that maybe we can do something, but at the end, I discovered that
mm,
all these military capabilities that we have, it's nothing. It's peanuts concerning the Israeli ones. So I think diplomacy is the best, the better, and the more effective tools that we have in the current time.
mm,
Regarding the unbalanced weight between the two parts in military means.
mm. Mr. Ambassador, before we dive into the topics of today's podcast episode, is there something you wish people understood about the weight of representing Palestine at this specific time of history? Now we have the Gaza genocide and the rapidly deteriorating situation in the West Bank. We're seeing settler terrorist attacks, and everything like that. Is there something you wish people would understand in this specific context?
Yeah, actually, first of all, you can call me Karim. It's better for you and for the audience to be more effective and so on. Uh, representing Palestine is not an easy issue, as a lot of people trying to show. It's a lot of restrictions, a lot of things that I can say bring us to a different level of dealing with our people before we're dealing with the others. Because sometimes we're talking about in a diplomatic way that it's not suits to our people sometimes, and to the supporters and the activists, that they cannot understand why we are talking in this way. We I don't know, uh, in the political issue, the dynamics of relation between states, it's very important. So we are restricted to explain, to speak
Mm,
in a different language. This is one.
mm,
Second, in a social issue, even we cannot joy like the others. We cannot celebrate like the other. We cannot dance. We cannot do a lot of things because of our function. And this is very difficult. Really, it's very difficult because we have families as well. We would like to have some time of joy, some time of fun, and so on. But we are very, very strict and limited to this issue. This is uh, this is
Mm,
the burden to be a representative of uh, a state, especially Palestine.
mm. I think the first part that you mentioned is also very very important for many people to understand, especially in the context when they see officials from the Palestinian side are expressing in one way or other. I think many people expect officials of the state to be behaving like activists or going to uh, are going to express in some certain ways that maybe ordinary people would do about other countries that have been in one way or other complicit in the situation. While when you are in a higher point in politics, you need to adopt some form of pragmatism when it
Yes,
uh, comes to the relations with other states. So I think many people don't realize that it is a part of the job of the diplomats to be diplomatic rather than activistic. I think there is a separation between the jobs of the civil society, which should criticize countries and organizations that have been partaking with what Israel is doing, being complicit and doing this and that, while the diplomats are uh, are expected to be more cold-headed. I would make this assumption at least.
you want me to elaborate a little bit about this just to be understandable from your audience, you know? Uh, Diplomats are not activists. This is first thing. Activist can
Mm,
say whatever he wants in the way he wants, but diplomats are abiding to a certain rules according to the diplomatic norms and abiding as well to a certain line of policy that we're trying to implement with different countries and to realize what we are seeking of these countries. So our space is very limited. You know, we are abided by certain rules, certain language. Maybe it's not good for some activists or supporters. They need more. But believe me, we do the same thing, but in a different language. Because uh, if the supporters, for example, if the supporters push a lot to push countries to, for example, to vote in favor or a certain decision, they do it in the activist way, and we do it in a diplomatic way. So we have a frank discussion with countries, with the people, explain to them what we need, why we seek to have a vote in favor of this decision or something like that. And we all the time, approximately all the time, we succeed to convince them to do the same what the activists want. So we work in parallel. Activists
mm,
have their role and diplomats have another role.
mm. Of course. I mean, being an ambassador of the State of Palestine, when especially during a period when the authority of the state is being constantly challenged domestically, externally, Israel is trying to undermine the Palestinian Authority. We'll get into this a bit later, of course, but I would like to ask you, what measures has the State of Palestine taken to address the rapidly increasing settler terrorist attacks and land theft in the West Bank? We will discuss the West Bank and Gaza separately,
Yeah.
um, which has been also, these actions have been sanctioned by the Israeli government. So how has the State of Palestine acted now during this more intensive period now during the last years or so?
Well, it's a very good question, actually, and a lot of people have misunderstand the role of the Palestinian Authority and how they deal with this kind of settler attack, and why the Palestinian Authority didn't react, didn't protect people, and so on. But the reality is different than we see in the TV or in the news. Because I don't know if uh, people understand that all the settlements set in Area C, which there is no present at all of any security, Palestinian security measures, 100%. So to go from A, according to Oslo agreement, we we set the areas in three different categories. A,
Mm,
complete and full uh, Palestinian control with security presence all the time. B, it's a partially security presence of the Palestinian Authority, which is limited to a certain number according to the agreement. And C, there is no presence at all. Now, the settlements are in Area C, so there is no presence at all. To move from Area A to Area B, you have a coordination. And to move weapons or vehicles or whatever, you need a security coordination. So we are limited to move or limited to use our security means to protect our people around the settlements areas or in area C or area B. I don't know if I explain it well.
mm,
So
mm,
what we have to do, we have two things. First, our diplomatic and political moves that we try all the time to explain to the whole world what's the dangerous reaction or the dangerous consequences of this settlers attacks, and that these settler attacks are protected by the Israeli army. So it's like a policy for the state of Israel. It's not an action from individuals who are trying to harm the Palestinians according to their beliefs. This is one. Second, we have a special organ in Palestine named the Commission to Observe the Settlements and the Wall. This organ write every single detail about what happened. So it means that we classify, we archive, we make all necessary issues to have a clear data about all this violation, all this attacks, all this changement of settlement. And by the way, the head of this commission have been killed by Israel since like few years ago. His name is Ziad Abu Ain. I don't know if you heard about or not. He have been beaten during during a manifestation concerning confiscation of land for settlements. He have beaten by the Israeli and he died after. So we are
mm,
very active in this way. So we try to bring the political, diplomatic, and the legal, the data. It means the legal aspects of these to prepare some files we send already to the ICC, ICJ all the time. On the other hand, what we can do in this issue is to enhance a small groups of people that try to monitor and to alarm people of any attack coming, which is called لجان الحماية الشعبية, the uh, the protective commission, social commission. And this was in during the first Intifada, by the way, and the second Intifada. So we try to bring some assistance to these kind of actions, because we don't want to come to the point that Israeli wants. Israel want us to come to the circle of violence. It means they would like us to do something against settlers, against soldiers, against anything, to use it as a pretext. We know very well that this kind of issue, it's not let's say appreciated among our people or among our supporters and the activists, because they want more. But we cannot let the issue uh, came to what happened in Gaza, for example, because we have a model. We don't want our people to face the same destiny of what happened in Gaza.
Yeah. So, to what extent have diplomacy and international pressure on Israel worked, or if at all, do you think it has worked in the West Bank, for instance?
Yes, it works.
Um,
It works.
mm,
We need more, but it works bit by bit. Diplomacy and it's not question of gaining battles right away. It's like piece by piece. We build uh, different ways of confronting this kind of Israeli behaviors. For example, let's say concerning Gaza, the Israelis was like want to get rid of all the Gazan people outside of Gaza, and they make a lot of pressures over Egypt. They even used the American to build like a harbor in thinking that they can bring boats to bring Gazans outside. But at the end, with the intensive work with Saudi Arabia, with Arab countries, and then with Islamic countries, they convince Donald Trump, the American president, to put an end to this. And it was like stated in his 20 points plan. And it became like from the history. There is no transfer of Gazan people. This is one.
mm,
The second, the confiscation of the West Bank. We get a clear promise or clear words from Donald Trump as well, that he will not allow Israel to confiscate any part or the whole West Bank. And I think it holds until now. Every word he said concerning these two matters, it's still strong. And I think that the pressure put by Saudi Arabia and the different 8 countries that make the deal with
mm.
Donald Trump, it's very good. It's very good for the country. This is a kind of how diplomacy and politics can make pressure over Israel, and a lot of other things that we can say it, and some other thing that we cannot say it. A lot of things.
What would you say now when people recently Israel legalizing quotation marks? It's still illegal under international law. I think it's 19 settlements in the West Bank, and we're still seeing Israel carrying out the ethnic cleansing in parts of the West Bank, in Masafer Yatta and other parts. We're still seeing they're still confiscating Palestinian lands, and many people are thinking that the Palestinian Authority has no it has no control of it, and its existence is only helping the Israeli occupation in reinforcing it. Some are using terms like it's a
Collaborating.
subcontract. Yeah, these kinds of terms.
Yeah, yeah.
How would you
Well,
respond?
we hear that all the time. But this is sarcastic, really, because the people uh, didn't see the picture as a general one. They look at different small points here and there, and they start to
Mm,
build their narration or their understanding according to that. And this is not correct. This is not correct. We have to understand the general framework of everything and then get to piece, uh, piece by piece. The
mm,
general framework is starting from 1993, which
mm,
is the first legal legal contractual agreement that set a presence of the Palestinians ruled by the Palestinians in their land accepted by Israel. This is the whole issue. And from there you can see the picture right and left here and there and in different points. So
mm,
the Palestinian Authority itself, it's a burden for Israel because
mm,
this is the only document that Israel recognizes there is a Palestinian people. Before Oslo, they ignore completely there is a Palestinian people. This is one.
mm,
Second, this agreement or Oslo have been witnessed by the international community, have been signed in the White House. So nobody can uh, retreat from this agreement except if the both sides accept. We didn't accept until now, and we will not accept because this is the correct way of going. Now, concerning the settlements and the speed of settlements, maybe I was like a little bit uh, close to the system. Let's say I worked like 7 years with President Abbas as a chief of protocol during his first term as prime minister and then as a president. I was very close to the whole issues. I know the correct data. I didn't ignore that the settlements have been expanded and they have been growing more and more. And this is because of two things. First, there is no international will to arrive to a final settlement. This is one. Second, that the Israeli lobby all over the world is very powerful and prevent all countries to intervene or to put some restrictions or some. So we are alone against all of this kind of Israeli violation all
mm,
the time of uh, what we have to do in this situation. We have to do two things. First, to try with all countries to say that settlements it's non-legal against the international law, and we convince everybody. And when I say everybody, it means United States inside. And all the countries that have a very good relation with Israel stay saying that settlements are non-legal and will have no consequences concerning the final status negotiation. This
mm,
is one. The second, we try to do a lot of things on the ground. First, we try to have more data all the time just to classify it and to have a lot of files that we can present to different legal bodies all over the world. And the second, to prevent people to sell lands to Israel. And this is one of the main responsibility of the Palestinian Authority that a lot of people ignore that our Palestinian people are not angels all. We have angels and we have demons. We have people who collaborate. We have people who try to let here and there some piece of land be sold to Israelis and so on. So we keep tracking all this kind and we strict the use of procuration uh, because almost of the land where the settlements is belong to Palestinians live outside. And to live outside, you need a procuration to sell your land because you cannot return back. So we have put a system to restrict, to oversee, to track all this kind of issue. This is what we can do in the current situation. I don't know if I I explain in a good way.
You answered. Uh, last question on this part regarding specifically the West Bank. How are Israel's attacks on the Palestinian Authority, its political legitimacy, its finances, such as deducting Palestinian taxpayers' money at the borders and so on, impacting its operation, its practical operation in the occupied Palestinian territories?
Since the arriving of Sharon, or not Sharon, actually Netanyahu to be the prime minister of Israel, he had a different idea about the whole issue uh, concerning peace with the Palestinian and concerning a lot of things. So from the early beginning, he tried to avoid uh, talking to the Palestinians. Uh, Trying to have a common ground to build on what happened before. And actually, this is start with the arriving of Sharon. But because Sharon, he was the one who ignite the Second Intifada by entering the Al-Aqsa Mosque at that time, which has dragged us to this trap that I was talking before. So Netanyahu, in Netanyahu opinion, that he should dismantle the Palestinian Authority because Palestinian Authority is a burden for Israel. It's prohibits Israel to go furthermore in their idea of greater Israel, to confiscate more, to build more settlements, to put hand here and there all over our natural resources, our means by all ways. So he tried from the early beginning, and every time he find an excuse. One time concerning the prisoners issues and kill for slay and pay for slay and something like that, which they use it as like a publicity all the time. Sometimes that we give money for Hamas, sometimes that we give money for people in Gaza that support Hamas, sometimes that we try to finance terrorism and so on. So for them to kill the Palestinian Authority, they should put a hand on their money. First, they keep the revenue of taxes holds until now. We have like around 4 billion shekels. It means more than $1 billion. It's a big amount of money. Second, they make pressure over the banking system. Few time ago, like a year ago, we have much more shekels. We didn't arrive. They didn't want even to accept their money, and they make us in a difficult situation that we have a lot of Israeli money that we cannot hold. This is one. Second, all the time, Smotrich try to say that we will cut the SWIFT between the Israelis and the Palestinian bank. You know that we receive money from outside, from many different countries and organization and so on. And we send money as well, private or governmental. So he tried to cut this wire between Israeli and Palestinian bank to make us in a very difficult way. but we try all the time to overcome all obstacles by diplomatic means, by political means. We talk to the Americans, we talk to the Europeans, and they try to exert some pressure over Israel, and all the time we succeed to continue. But the main target of Israel is to get rid of the Palestinian Authority. And the problem is that a lot of people around the world, they want the same issue. They didn't see that this Palestinian Authority, it's the only refuge to the Palestinians all over the world. So if they destroy the Palestinian Authority, I think we will return back to the Stone Age for the Palestinian cause, because representation will go down. All what we have been built during 30 years now, ministers, organs, laws, everything will be destroyed, and this is not in favor of the Palestinian people at all.
I think there have also been problems with paying teachers' salaries in the West Bank during periods
Yeah,
where there have been such. I think this is one instance of how a
you
separation
know,
were also impacted.
Omar, I have been here like 8 years now in Cote d'Ivoire, but the last 4 years, we get like 50%, 60%, the maximum is 70% of our salaries. So we outside, we have the same like our people inside. You can imagine that this small salary, it's not enough for us, but now we get paid like 50%, 60%, 70% according to the situation. But we try to overcome all obstacles. We try to stay uh, strong, and we try to find other means, all of us using his personal means more or less all the time, but we don't have means at all right now. It's very difficult situation. And the teachers in Palestine, especially in the West Bank, as you mentioned, that they strike like 2 weeks ago because they don't have money to go to their schools to teach people. So we have a very difficult situation. And this difficult situation, according to two things, in my opinion. First, that Israel continue to hold our tax, and then we don't have any foreign aid except the last $90 million from Saudi Arabia 3 weeks ago, and some 80 million or 30 million or 40 million, something like that, from the European Union. Apart of that, we don't have anything. We try to use our personal capacity to find out how to pay salaries, because without paying salaries, there is no economy. The salary is the main economy in the
And
West
this is
Bank.
also part of Israel's attacks on UNRWA. They want to destroy every kind of like institution that
And they
helps.
attack They attack as well the currency or whatever exchange offices and so on, to confiscate more money, to confiscate more issues, destroy here, destroy that, to make it like much more difficult for us to rebuild or to manage.
Mm, definitely. As someone born in the Gaza Strip, you've been raised in Egypt, as you mentioned, but I would assume you have family there, right? How would you describe the situation there today, and how did we reach to this point?
Well, it's difficult and not difficult to say, but I will use my personal capacity to describe the situation. My bigger family is in Gaza. So we had like 200, 300 people have been killed during this war. All of my cousins, my relatives are living in tents like the other people. Um, and it's very difficult. for them and for me as well, because as I'm outside all the time, I have to call and I have to stay tuned and to have to communicate with everybody to get to know what's happening and so on, and to assist a little bit. But we didn't arrive even to have enough to assist the families themselves, my family. So, and this is a catastrophic situation. And how we get there? We get there by the stupidity of Hamas, the acting of Hamas. I said it bluntly, directly, without any hesitation. Because for sure, armed resistance is our legal means. So it's legal from the international point of view and from the national point of view. But we have to be more clever to use our different means of resistance. So what Hamas did was like uncalculated, uh, short sight plan. They don't have any calculation about the consequences of this kind of act of resistance. What they did, for sure, all the Palestinian, including me, was like somehow happy to see what happened at the beginning. And this is normal because we are Palestinians. We are not coming from another planet, you know. But directly, we realize that this kind of action will bring us to a very catastrophic situation, and this is exactly what happened. So, and they insist and they continue in the same way. So, I think normal people, when they act something wrong or do something wrong, at certain points, they start to think, uh, what I did, is it wrong or is it good, and start to make a revision of everything. And I don't know why until now Hamas is still in the denial, complete denial of the catastrophe that they they been a main part of it. 100% Israel is responsible for all the crimes that have been done in Gaza, responsible for all destruction that have been done. It's a criminal state. It's, you can say whatever you want, and all everybody will agree with this. But we have responsibility as well. When we are responsible for a people, we should think and act in a different way. Slogans will not guide us to anywhere. Our problems are the slogans that we keep it all the time, trying to say to the people, yes, we will do this and we will do that, without thinking of
Mm.
the reality itself, and if this act will guide to something or not. This is our problem. And really, I answer
Mm.
your question again. The
You
situation
did.
in Gaza, it's a catastrophic situation.
Mm. How has this genocide both shaped the relations between the PLO and Hamas, but also between the PLO and the broader international community, including the Arab world?
You know, Omar, to be clear with you, you know, I'm trying to talk to your audience as well as you, and try to
Mm.
be more honest in my answers than to be an ambassador who representing the guidelines. You know, sometimes I go out from the guidelines and I said whatever I want. But let me
Mm.
say the following: at the beginning of the after 7 October war, and when Israel start to act severely against Gaza Strip, we faced a lot of problems to convince the international community that we are victims because of what they saw from the Israeli side. They showed them a lot of data, a lot of videos, a lot of pictures showing Hamas doing a lot of things. And it is not easy to convince the people in this stage. So we try to defend, we try to say that almost of what you saw from the Israeli side is not correct. We debunk the 40 decapitated babies and so on. We try to debunk all this kind of issues, but it's not easy as well. So
Mm.
after time, we start to build like a momentum with the Arab countries, with the Islamic countries, and try to reach the international community. Because the main countries at that time, if you notice, all of them, they said, we are with the right of Israel to defend itself. We are with the right of Israel to defend itself. It means like that Israel have been attacked and they will defend themselves. And all the big countries all over the world, they use the same terminology, the same issue, and they let Israel go ahead, punish the Palestinian people. But with the time, we try to convince the international community by the Arab and the Muslim community that this is not a defense actions. It's an aggressive, it's a way of punishing the whole Palestinian people and trying
Mm.
to commit a genocide in Gaza, try to expel all the Palestinian people in Gaza. And we, hopefully, we arrived at the end to convince a lot of people to get in action and to change slowly, slowly their policy toward making much more harsh word against Israel. Uh, and at the end, we get to have Donald Trump to stop the whole genocide war. And this is according to a lot of work have been done with Saudi Arabia first, then Egypt, Jordan, then joined by Emirates and Qatar, and then joined by three big Muslim countries: Pakistan, Indonesia, and Turkey. So these 8 countries arrived to a conclusion with Trump in New York last September that we agree to a certain limit to have something on the table that conclude 2 things. First, stopping right away the the war of genocide in Gaza, and then give uh, a hope for a peaceful settlements and a peace
Mm.
for the region. And this is
Mm.
what we try to do all over the last 2 years and something of the world.
Some people would say that the genocide didn't really stop, even with the so-called ceasefire agreement. Now we've seen, I think it's over 300 Palestinians who have been killed since October, and Israel has now shown their intentions of staying in around half of the Gaza Strip, and they're actively destroying homes, and it's raising also the question that maybe Israelis are intending now, they're putting now what they're saying military stations indefinitely without any end date or so, and maybe in the future they will start with having some outposts, what they call settler outposts, and then after that they will become legalized settlements like the West Bank. Some people are discussing that the Gaza Strip will become more West Bankified or whatever such terminology, that the Gaza Strip will be administered in a similar way as we have in the West Bank, the areas A, B, and C, where A and B are at least under some Palestinian Authority control and C is totally under Israeli control. What do you think about that?
Well, it's a multi-dimension question. let's start with Gaza and again go to the West Bank. For Gaza, let's start with the Gaza Strip because the people didn't see that the ceasefire is respected and so on, and there's still there is a victims all the time, which is correct. But what's the alternatives? If we don't have this ceasefire or so-called ceasefire with this kind of Israeli violation from time to time, kill people, trying to change the reality on the ground, try to do a lot of things. What we have as alternative? Return to war. During the war, we have like 100 casualties by day. We have 100 uh, killed by day. Now, during 2 months, we have 300. It's not easy to accept that we still being killed, but less than before. It's not easy to accept that, but we don't have any other alternatives except to continue in the same way that prevent us more casualties and more deterioration of the situation on the ground. At least the Gazan people right now, the people in Gaza, they have much more food. It's not enough, but it's better than before. They have much more services. It's not enough, but it is better than before. So we have to be realistic in some time. We don't have to stick to big slogans, and we cannot fulfill. Believe me, it's not easy. It's not easy to me to say this kind of words, but I am realistic. This is what is on the ground right now. This is for Gaza. For the West Bank, it's not easy as well because we are trying to survive. The Palestinian Authority is trying to survive not because of itself, because it's the only let's say secure path to the Palestinians in the West Bank. Because without the Palestinian Authority, it will be it will be a disaster.
Of
The
course.
people without law, without order, without restriction, it will be like in a jungle. And this is exactly what Israel want to be that the Palestinians are in a chaos, are in a jungle, and everyone trying to find a secure for himself in spite of the others. And this is a big problem. Because of that, we saw that continue supporting the Palestinian Authority is the best option for the current time.
Of course.
I
Okay.
would like just to say two more words concerning that. The Palestinian Authority is not a perfect organ. We are not angels, We commit some errors here and there, but this is normal. When we work, we should commit some errors here and there. But the most important is to return back to the correct path. What we are doing right now, it's very, very important steps toward reshaping, reform the Palestinian Authority in a way that it can serve better the interest of our people. And the last word, the present of the Palestinian Authority is support the resilience of the Palestinian people in the West Bank. Without the Palestinian Authority, the people will not stay there. We provide everything. Imagine if we didn't provide anything. Why should a person stay there? He will move tomorrow. As in Gaza. In Gaza, for example, if there is a way for the people to flee, there is no one will stay in Gaza.
Many critics of the Palestinian Authority usually say, okay, so the Palestinian Authority exists today, but the Palestinians did actually exist in the West Bank and the Gaza Strip before the 90s, before the First Intifada. Life wasn't good back then, but there was still no authority that subsidized, now in quotation marks, the Israeli occupation. How would you counter that?
Well, we can just pose the simple questions. Is it good for the
Mm,
Palestinian to be ruled by Palestinians, or is good to the Palestinians to be ruled by Israelis?
mm,
This is a simple question. Now, maybe before the arriving or the creation of the Palestinian Authority, the people was living in a different situation because Israel, as the occupation force, know how to deal with people, try to convince them to engage in a different way. They give them some privileges here and there. These privileges are gone with the arriving of the Palestinian Authority. Now, the
mm,
privilege is done by the Palestinian Authority itself. So the
mm,
people, as you know, all Arabs and Palestinians among them,
mm,
they I don't know how they think. For me,
mm,
for example, uh, the passport, one of the examples, the passport that have been provided to the Palestinian people in Gaza and West Bank and outside as well is something, wow, something amazing that it it wasn't before during the Israeli occupation. During the Israeli occupation, you have even a Jordanian passport or a document from Egypt. And then you have to have an authorization from Israel to use this one or this one. So the question is, it was before the arriving of the Palestinian Authority. Are the people was like happy with the occupation? This is a question. Or after the Palestinian Authority arrived, a lot of things have been changed, not all perfect, but at least in the pathway to our independence and to our the creation
mm.
of our independent state. This is the idea. So we have to be patient. We have to understand the different situation, the different circumstances, the different agendas from all over, regional, international, Israelis, and we have to be a little bit, let's say, recognizing and somehow a lot of things that have been great, that are great, have been done by the Palestinian Authority.
As we've discussed previously, there is a massive scale of destruction and suffering in the Gaza Strip and the West Bank, and the latter haven't gotten much either media attention. We've seen Israeli invasions of Tulkarm, Jenin, and Nablus, and there is also ethnic cleansing of thousands of Palestinians in the West Bank as well. We know there is more media attention to Gaza because it's by scale much higher, but what I would like to ask you here, questions that will arise in this context. And the first is, are there any plans for reconstruction and addressing the urgent refugee question in the Gaza Strip, but also in the West Bank? Now we're seeing many have lost their homes, and many are in desperate medical needs, and many need schools and everything like that. But to start with the reconstruction part and the refugee question, how would you address that?
Well, actually, it's not me myself who addressed that, but what the government is working since the first day of the the war and before even. We are working all the time. We have a very detailed plan of reconstruction of Gaza Strip. And this plan have been acknowledged by the international community, had been adopted by the Arab League, and it became like the Egyptian Arab plan for the reconstruction. But the problem is to reconstruct, the people need guarantees. The presence of Hamas will not guarantee anything because they can provide money to reconstruct. After a few years, another thing can be happen and it will destroy everything. Because before, billions have been deployed to Gaza to build the Saudi Cartier, the Emirati Cartier, the Qatari city, and so on. A lot of hospitals, a lot of infrastructure, a lot of things, but have been destroyed because we didn't preserve what we have and we didn't act in an intelligent way to deal with the obstacles that we face all the time. This is for the Gaza Strip. For the West Bank, the government already assist people who have been uh, expelled from the different camp of refugees in the West Bank. And by the way, the camp of refugee of the West Bank, it's according to a stupid way of dealing with the issues, because this between practice, the resistant people who is showing themselves all over the refugee camps, they did a destructive destructive means to drag Israel to come to the refugee camps. We try all the time with them that this is not the correct way, this is not the correct way. But at the end, we show the consequences. And we cannot do anything for that because, as I mentioned before, that Israel tried to drag us to this confrontation, and we will not go there by any means, by the way. So the government is working to assist the people who have been expelled from the different camp of refugees. We have plans, but we don't have means. Any reconstruction, anything needs money. And we have prevented from our tax, and we don't have any foreign aids for the current time, except some money came from here and there, as I mentioned, from Saudi Arabia and the European Union only.
Yeah, I mean, many people are arguing that they want the Palestinian Authority to directly confront Israeli soldiers, but we
Do you think
know this.
do you think it's a correct way? It's easy, Omar. Omar, for the people, let me talk to them directly. It's easy to do that. It's not difficult. But we are responsible for 2.9 million people in the West Bank. Why we have to do this and to destroy the whole issue for all our people? I don't know what we will benefit from this, the confrontation. What we will benefit from? I don't see any benefits, really. I'm a military person, I know very well. We don't have real military capacity. We don't have except personal weapons and so on. So this cannot confront tanks and later weapons that Israel have. So what's the meaning of do that? Just to satisfy some people who like resistance and so on. We are okay. All of us, we are with resistance. But resistance need some intelligent way to use it. It's not like this. So I don't find any meaning of confronting Israel in the current time, because this is what they want exactly.
They want pretext to do in the West Bank what they did in the Gaza Strip.
They want anything to attack more, to kill more, to confiscate more, to uproot more, to destruct more. and their main objective, and I insist to that, to dismantle the Palestinian Authority. Because they try since like 18, 20 years ago until now, all the time to try to dismantle the Palestinian Authority. They push even from inside. You know, a lot of people from inside the Palestinian society, yeah, we have to dismantle the Palestinian Authority. Oslo is not correct, whatever, blah, 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 blah. And all of this kind of ideas bring us to the same point that Israel want. Israel want to dismantle the Palestinian Authority because it's the only legal representation on the ground of Palestine for the Palestinian people. So if we get rid of the Palestinian Authority, there is no representation for Palestinians. And then we became like different groups. Everyone would like to present himself as the representative of the Palestinian people. And then we will confront each other who will be the leader and how we will do this. And then we will will arrive to be in a very catastrophic situation. And because of that, I believe that preserving the current situation is very important, especially in the current time. Maybe after, if we have different circumstances, if we have different international uh, uh, international dynamics, we can change. But for the current time, it's very essential to preserve what we have and not to go after the slogans to destroy what we built for 30 years. It's not the Palestinian Authority who have been built. It is the Palestinian people themselves, because they are a part of this of this Palestinian Authority. it's it's not different. We are not two organs. We are one.
All right. Now, the second part, I would like to ask you: how has the urgent, how will the urgent and the long-term healthcare needs, how are they going to be addressed now in the Palestinian authorities? Now in the Gaza Strip, from my understanding, I think most of the hospitals, I think it's only one or two who are even operational to some extent. But now also there is the West Bank. I think the healthcare in the West Bank works much better, but Israel will not allow Palestinians from Gaza to move to there. And let alone, I mean, when we're talking about the refugee question, which I wanted to also ask you, have there been some suggestions from the Palestinian Authority to receive refugees from the Gaza Strip? Now we know Israel doesn't want Palestinians to move from one Palestinian territory to other, but according to international law, Palestinians in Gaza Strip have the right to move to the West Bank, and I think this could be one solution to otherwise for Palestinians in Gaza to move abroad outside of Palestine at all. Has this been a part of the discussion or the negotiations or?
According to my knowledge, no. Why? First of all, all our people, or the supporters or our people, have a short memory. You know, in 2007, 2008, we activate what's so-called the safe passage between Gaza and the West Bank. And at that time, according to Oslo agreements, we arrived to manage that the people from Gaza, they can move to the West Bank with their cars, even at that time. But this was for a short period of time. Why? Because Hamas and Islamic Jihad start to bombing here, making suicide attack here and there. Then all this this step or try have been completely wiped out. So the problem is it's not only Israel. The problem is ourselves as well. To be frank, we, the Palestinians, we are not unified for a certain point of view. We have different point of view. And our different point of view arrive to a certain point that we confront each other by defending the different point of view from this side or from this side. and this is harmful for the Palestinian people. So the problem is having refugees from Gaza to the West Bank. It will serve to empty Gaza its people. It's the same way that people have been pushing to open Rafah border to let the Gazans go out. But there was no guarantee that they will return back. Now, if there is a guarantee that these people from Gaza can come to the West Bank, and there is a guarantee that they can return back, for sure, everyone will work on this option. It's easier,
Yeah.
and we are obliged to try to find out how we can uh, help our people and make them much more comfortable with the situation. But the problem is the same. It's the occupation. The occupation prevent the unification of these two parts of our state, Gaza and the West Bank. And he is working very hard to separate the two pieces since the 2007 coup d'etat of Hamas. They serve a lot to prevent the unification of our people, the unification of our vision, the unification of our way of dealing with this kind of occupation. And they succeed to that. And we have witnessed right now the result of this. I'm sorry to say that, but this is the reality. We cannot ignore the reality and try to talk like there is nothing happened. No, this is the reality. Israel push, uh, trying their best to separate the two parts of our state, uh, and to create the problems between the two sides that it would be very difficult to unify.
Yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, there are, I mean, several statements from Israeli officials. From Smotrich, there is from Netanyahu himself, and many other Israeli politicians who want there to exist a divide between the Palestinian Authority and Hamas. So the Palestinian side will always be divided, so they will lose their political legitimacy, or like they will say, we have no partners for peace, we don't have anyone to negotiate. I think this is something that has harmed the Palestinians and served Israel for now over a decade, since the coup d'etat of 2007, which I think many people are also simplifying the coup d'etat of 2007, because they would say Hamas was democratically elected, and that was true in that context. But Mahmoud Abbas was also democratically elected, even by larger margins. When we are going to talk about that, now we can talk about there should be democratic elections because these are expired mandates. But I think only putting one party to be democratically elected, but then saying the other is not. I think many people have bought this narrative. Abu Mazen was elected by 1 year by a majority. Hamas didn't win an actual majority in the percentages in the voting. But I would now like to ask you about your vision for Palestine. Do you still believe in a two-state solution, or what is your response to the argument that the settlement project has gone too far in the West Bank, and even domestically in Israel, there is no actual political will to reverse this this project to entrench Israeli settlers in the West Bank, and now also in the Gaza Strip? There is no will to withdraw from Palestinian territories. What would you say, like, if you would now explain from your vision, or you and connect it to reality today?
Well, actually, I wrote an article about one state or two state, and I put
Mm.
the narrative of the two people who support one state or support two states, and this is, let's say, uh, a realistic question. Why? Because if you mention the two states, according to the settlements project, it became like unrealistic for the current time. And the same time, the one state unrealistic at all. So both of them are realistic according to this point of view. But let me say the following before I dive to this question, that you didn't find this. It's amazing that Israel recognized PLO as the sole representative of the Palestinian people according to the Declaration of Principles signed in 1993. And Hamas and Jihad Islamic, they didn't find PLO as the representative of the Palestinian people. This is the question. This is a question can give you a lot of answers. Okay, if we would like to dive inside the issue, we will find that we have an internal problems. We Palestinians, we have an internal problem. Okay, this is internal problem, and we have a major problem is the occupation. And this is 100%. But we have to define ourselves. What's our goal? What we have to do before going to say this or that, and to confront how we will confront the occupation. And this is a big problem. Now, for the issue of two state, one state, I still believe that the only possible solution is the two-state solution. Because me, as a Palestinian who originally refugee from the Nakba and then expelled after the uh, 6 Days War in 1967, so I have double position. I cannot accept at any time that I will be in a state named Israel, for example, a state for all its population, because the one state pose a lot of problems, even in principle. If we arrive to convince the all sides to have one state, the first question will rise: what's the name of the new state? Is the Israeli will accept to name it Palestine? Is the Palestinian will accept to name it Israel? Or we will find another name, like Gaddafi said at one time, Isratin, for example. And if we accept both of us to be Isratin, if I accept myself to live in a country named Asratin after all these years of working, of doing a lot of things to have our independent Palestinian state, to accept to live in a state named Isratin, this is one. This is a simple questions, just to show you that this is impossible in the current time. The second question: what will be the flag of this country? Is the Israeli flag or the Palestinian, or a mix of these two flags? For example, in the 70s, we have a very great debate over this. And one of the Palestinian thinkers at that time, he came up with an idea of a Palestinian, of the Israeli flag or Palestinian flag with the Star of David inside. And this is like a new approach to mix the two things together. What will be the national anthem? What will be the roles of the Palestinian inside this society? For example, the army. Are we ready to get to have uh, uh, different levels in this army or not? In the economy, we are not from the same planet, let's say. So it's very difficult to think about one state, except the people who think that one state, it means expel all the Israelis outside Israel, return back to their countries, and then you have all Palestine for Palestinians. This is one state. Okay, but this is this is very naive approach, and it cannot be happen, especially in the current circumstances of power. So the only solution that we still have difficult, yes, but can be done. It's the two-state solution. Two-state solution, every people have their own country with own culture, with old tradition, with the name of the country, the national anthem, the flag, and they live separate one from the other in independent and security and dignity. Then, if you want to make a one state, it will be based on the two states. It means like the European Union issue, we can have a certain level of cooperation between the two countries, and then we upgrade to another level, until we can finally declare this is a one state. But after this needs generations, you know. So the question is legitimate to say two state or one state. But according to my knowledge, my experience, I have been in this work like more than 35 years now. I said it's the only solution, and we have done a lot of work. It still need the international will to bridge the gap for the final 5 meters, let me say. Because if we return back to 2000, for example, during Camp David between Yasser Arafat and Yehud Barak at that time, the two sides declare that we arrived to settle approximately 93% of the whole disputed issue. It means that still 7%. So 7%, if there is a goodwill from the international community to make pressure over Israel and over the Palestinian as well, okay, to bring them to settle down this 7% needed to reach a 100% agreement, I think this is the correct way. So we have done a lot. We have done a lot. And concerning the issue of the settlement project, that it can make the two-state solution unreal approach. I can say the following: in 2000, during Camp David, you know, the whole settlement project was like 1.4% of the West Bank area. 1.4. The Israeli at that time asked for 10%, because they said 1.4, this is the settlements, and we need security parameters all around up to 10%. We refuse. In 2008, with Olmert proposition, which I cannot say that is a proposition because I was there, he asked for 4%. 4% in a land swap. It means like they will have the main blocks of settlements next to the borders, plus some key settlements here and there related to these blocks. And for that, they will give us another land next to Gaza Strip, or to bridge the distance between Gaza and West Bank. So between Gaza and West Bank, there is like 40 kilometers between Gaza and Al Khalil, Tarkumia. So if we manage to have 4, 5, 6 kilometers of land between Gaza and West Bank, so we will narrow the gap between the two. So we can arrive to build like a tunnel or a bridge or whatever to connect the two areas. So the question of settlements, I know this, it is dangerous, and the Israeli try to to do more all the time. Just today, Smotrich announced that he will encourage to have 160 new posts in the West Bank. 2 days ago, they declared 19 or something like that, and they try to put us in a certain situation to believe that it's impossible to arrive to a solution. This is their target. But we we are not going to be trapped in this idea. No, we will do our work till the last seconds of our life. And we will continue in the same direction because we believe that we can reach an agreement, and it's not depend of us, it's depend of the international community, especially the United States. If we arrive to convince the United States, I think that everything will be much easier to reach an agreement. And especially now we have a very strong Saudi position, Arabic position, Islamic position, and I think that we will arrive to do something. We will arrive to do something, but we have to be more patient, more, uh, you know, we don't we don't have to be trapped here and there by certain push from different parties in a good faith or in a bad faith. I think we still focused, and we will continue on the same, and
Mm,
100% two-state solution. It's the best solution, and we will do it, inshallah.
mm. Hopefully so. I mean, from my perspective, I usually, when I discuss one state, two state, I often emphasize that there is like the biggest issues from my point of view. I often emphasize from the ideological point of view. How are you going to convince the vast majority of Israelis to abandon Zionism, which they believe very strongly? They have connected it to their identity to become equals with Palestinians who they have oppressed for over 75 years. And for the Palestinian side, do Palestinians actually want to live in the same state as their oppressors who have stolen their lands? I mean, there is a practical issue now. We're talking about there is strong distrust and hostility. I don't think you
Especially
can
after
put
7th of October.
especially after October 7, I don't think even if one wants a one state solution, I even believe that we need to have two states right now to reduce the tensions. Maybe in the long future, federation, one state, it can be more viable if there is
I
some form of
agree with you.
reconciliation. So,
I agree.
but as of today, I think many people need to focus on that we need to end the bloodshed, right?
Yeah,
We have the Israeli occupation of the West Bank. We have the genocide in Gaza. Our focus should be first of all to have freedoms, security. Israelis often talk about security from their side, but Palestinians need as much security. We need freedom. We need to live in dignity in our lands, even if it's only 22% of our historic land. We need still to have somewhere to have our people. And once one actually reaches this point, I think this is a very important milestone. Then one can talk about longer term. I think this is where people often get sensitive, and this is for very good reasons, because I personally consider all of the land Palestine. But if I'm going to say politically now, if we need to be pragmatic, what
exactly.
can we actually achieve?
Exactly.
This is a different from ideals, right?
No, I totally agree with you about your point of view. It's correct, and we need to overcome the current situation first, and to overcome it had to be start by measures of building, uh, um, building what I can say, trust between the two sides. And cannot be done by us or the Israeli. It has to be done by a third part. I think, uh, you know, this is the way how we try to work. The United States, for the first time since like 3 decades, start to re-engage again in our cause and in the Middle East in general. And this is not because they love us or they like us, because they have their interest in the coming few decades concerning the China issue, concerning the new world order, and so on. So our work is to find out how we can make our interest became a part of the American interest and the international interest. So we have to engage in our way. First, what's our needs? Our needs to stop the massacres have been committed in Gaza. This is one. Second, to bring humanitarian aid, food, shelters for our people in Gaza. This is second. Third, to have an international force that it can be between us and the Israeli
Mm,
in a way that it cannot defend us, but at least can prevent Israel to commit more criminal acts against us. This is third. And fourth, we have a political horizon for self-determination. And this is
mm,
exactly what we was working with the Saudis in the first, and then much more broader with the other partners, especially the two, let's say, Egypt and Qatar, the two coordinators, facilitators, negotiators, let's say, because they have a very good relation with Hamas, they can make mediators. And then with the Jordan, because we have a very special relation between the Jordan and Palestine, especially we have a common borders, and then make it much more uh, broader to international. This is
mm,
how we try to manage, how we try to work, and this is need a lot of time and need a very good vision and to stick to what we decide with the
mm,
others. We cannot
mm,
change our position from day to another. We have to be patient. Israel tried to destroy everything. Israel tried to return back to the war. Israel
mm,
tried to destroy our dreams, try to expel the people of Gaza, try to destroy the West Bank, try to push the people in the West Bank outside by creating a lot of problems for them, affecting their life in a daily basis. So
mm,
we work in, like, let me say, like between minds everywhere. So
mm,
we work. Maybe it's not enough, but this is how the dynamics works in the international level. It's not up to us alone. It's up to United States, France, other countries to react and to engage with us in a different way. For us, we need everything to be done today because this is our interest, but it's not up to us.
mm,
We have to work all the time with all people. Today, for example, President Mahmoud Abbas reiterated his position concerning reform, concerning all this kind of issue, because we need to all the time to remind the international community, to remind the United States, to remind every uh, country working with us that we are in the same page with them, that we stick to the program, we stick to our obligations according to the broader project. So we hope, we hope that if we manage in the coming
Mm.
few days to get to the second phase of the Trump plan, I think it will be start to be easier than before, and we start to move much faster because the creation of the IMF, International Monitoring Forces, are approximately done. A meeting in Qatar was like a few days ago, and still they working on different aspects of this forces. I hope that Hamas will arrive to a conclusion that they will not have any role in the second phase, and they have to put down their arms. And I don't know why they didn't act much faster than that. It's easy for them to say we will let our arms to the Palestinian Authority. We are the Palestinians who will arrive there. We are not coming from another planet. So it's easier
Mm.
to bridge the gaps and to uh, to prevent much more waste of time, because what's
Mm.
happening right now, it's waste of time. Everyone knows, including Hamas, including the mediators, everyone know there is no rule for Hamas and the second phase. And everyone, including the Arabic countries, including Qatar, Turkey, Egypt, everyone say that Hamas should be disarmed.
Mm.
There's a declaration in New York have been accepted for 149 countries. They ask Hamas to disarm, and there is no role for Hamas in the future of Gaza. Okay? But they still continue consuming the time, and this is not good for our people. If Hamas
Mm.
say that we are ready to give our arms to the Palestinian Authority, they will put Israel in front of a big problem for them. They want to dismantle Hamas. We are ready to dismantle, but we will give to the Palestinian Authority. So the United States and the other countries can oblige Israel at that time to accept the return back to the Palestinian Authority to Gaza. And then it will be
Mm.
solved the problem. But
Mm.
everyone have his own ideas, own way of thinking, his calculation, and I don't know where we'll get in the near
I
future.
think it's difficult for them to give up on their pride on this issue because they see the Palestinian Authority as their rivals.
Why it's difficult?
But
I don't know why
yeah,
it's difficult. After all that they did to Gaza,
yeah.
after all, what's the meaning of ruling Gaza? Ruling what? Ruling tents, ruling people in ruin, ruling people they don't have the basics needs. What's the meaning of ruling Gaza? If you don't have
Mm.
means, what's the meaning of ruling Gaza? The
Mm.
one who should rule Gaza, the one who is capable to bring means to let much more uh, uh, supplies and goods and shelters to get to the people of Gaza. I don't pretend that the Palestinian Authority can do that alone, but at least it's accepted from almost of the world. So we
Mm.
are capable. Why you don't ease for your people? I don't understand, really. I don't understand why they still stuck in the question of arm, disarm, and all of this kind of stuff.
Mm.
There is no
Mm.
meaning for the arms of Hamas in Gaza
Mm.
because we show the destruction. If the arms have anything to say, we didn't have all
Mm.
this destruction in Gaza. the
Of
the arms
course.
in Gaza, they cannot defend the Palestinian people. They can defend Hamas people, yes, but they cannot defend the Palestinian people. We have
Yeah.
70,000 people have been killed, 200,000 have been injured, destruction of approximately 80% of Gaza Strip. So the arm of Hamas didn't prevent anything of this to be happen. So what's the meaning of
Yeah.
arms? I don't
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah. Before closing this episode, do you have a message to convey to other Palestinians who have lost hope in the future of Palestine? Now, talking about any future of Palestinians who live in Palestine, any future of remaining of Palestine, or Palestinians outside of Palestine, if they have any. If they have any hope of returning to Palestine, do you have any message to convey to the Palestinians?
I will say the following. First of all, we should believe all the time, not a single moment, that we will return back to Palestine. This is first, because this is our right. But which Palestine? This is we have to agree about. As you mentioned before, we have to be pragmatic. We cannot have all historical Palestine in the current time. We can manage to have 22% of the historical Palestine, but it's still Palestine. It's still part of our land. So I believe that we will have our independent state, and in the very, very near future. This is one. This state will be very civilized, very modern state, open for everyone, have a tolerance in a different means. All belongs to all its people, inside, outside. And I think the whole of the proposition of the Palestinian state in Gaza Strip and West Bank and Jerusalem Est will be capable to have all Palestinian all over around the world, because it's not small one. It's medium sized state, let's say. Because if we going to see Kuwait, for example, Kuwait is like 200-300 kilometers square, but Palestine, it will be more than 5,000 and above, 5,000 kilometers square. So it will be not a huge country, but at least it's enough to have all its people inside and outside. And I think that our
Mm,
belief that we will return back to Palestine one day is the source of our resistance. It's a source of our resilience. It's the source of our existence, as if I may say. Because without this idea, we will be disappeared. You know, we believe in our cause. We believe in our state, and we believe that one day we will realize this state. And this is should be not the dream, but the belief of every one of us. I believe that we will have our independent state very soon, but we need to focus, not to go to a different uh, uh, a different idea that it can make obstacles, or it can serve uh, to make much more complicated our situation. We need to focus. We need to believe that our leadership, we like it or not, but they still on the same page. They didn't go out of the uh, red lines, like if I may say. And since like the beginning of our cause, we never had someone who is ready to give up with the essential lines that we stick to it since long time ago. And I believe that
mm,
that we have a lot uh, of people capable to make of Palestine a very, very excellent country. I believe in that. I believe in my people, and then believe in that our country will be one of the most important countries in the region.
Mm. Mr. Ambassador Karim, it has been a pleasure to speak with you for the past almost 2 hours. Thank you so much
Right.
for taking the time to answer these questions, and I also want to thank all the audience for listening to this podcast.
Thank you, Omar, and I would like to thank you especially. We get to know each other lately, but it was a pleasure to talk to you. We discussed a lot of things before, and it was my pleasure to be with you in this podcast. And I hope that the audience will accept my uh, limited English language. I hope that I arrive to convey the message I want. I hope that they will
Good.
forgive me for some things here and there. But believe me, we are all Palestinians. We are all working for the same uh, issue. We need our 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 people to live in dignity and to live in an independent state. And I believe that we all together we will arrive to do so. And believe me that we did all what we can to continue to serve the interest of our people and our country, Cote d'Ivoire, in different countries we served before and we will serve after. And I hope that your audience will
Mm,
enjoy our meeting and
of
hope to
course.
see you
Thank
again
you.
and to talk to you again, Omar. Thank you very much. And I wish for all your audience and my fellow Palestinians a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and that God will be more generous to us in the coming future, and He will let us enjoy our free, independent Palestinian state, inshallah.
Mm.
And thank you, Omar.
I wish the same. I wish all the audience, everyone, a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And hopefully next year will the celebrations in a free Palestine, in
Inshallah.
an independent
Inshallah.
Palestinian state.
I believe on that,
Uh,
inshallah. We will be there.
Thank you.